right?
Yes, you did.
Great. Okay, so Mr. Mayor, we just have been through a lot of elections. You have somebody new that's on the commission,
right?
Council. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
All right.
We have two new. Well, one had just changed positions from being a council member, District 2, to being vice mayor. That's Vice Mayor Mike Callahan, and then the new addition is Susie Lord, who is replacing Mike Callahan. And so, Mike Callahan replaced Sue Ellen Loisel. So we lost one Sue and got another Sue.
Okay.
So.
And one of the great things about Cutler Bay is, in the beginning, I'm looking back, I know it's 15 years, but for a while, people really didn't take Cutler Bay seriously. I want to tell you something. It is the envy of your neighbors. Right? Yeah. There's no question about that. And the government and the political people that are serious, and they really care about Cutler Bay. How does that occur?
Well, the history of Cutler Bay is it's been a community where families tend to stay in the area for the most part. So, I mean, there's so many people that I know that have lived there for over 40 years. So they have a common interest, and the common interest is actually each other's well-being. And that's really, really important. And the other thing I think that's been really helpful for Cutler Bay is, we've been blessed with council after council, mayor after mayor that really wants to. The community is more important rather than their own agenda, and that's been very important. But probably the biggest piece is the staff that we have. The staff is very in tune with what the councils have wanted, and they're really good at getting it done. I think by far we have one of the best town managers, and his staff around him is superb. Everybody's marching in the same direction.
And how long has the county manager? The city manager been there?
Well, Ralph's been there since 2005. He wasn't the city manager back then or town manager back then, but he's always been involved, and since he's been the town manager, he's the epitome of efficiency.
And that is what I hear. And I forgot, when he was with many cities before that, I think he must have started in government business in his 20s.
Yeah, he did. He actually, I think he started off working in Florida City for Mayor Wallace. May have been before his 20s. You hear him still. I think he started when he was 12 years old. So that was a joke, obviously, but he's been doing it a very, very long time.
And there are a lot of city or village managers, town managers that don't last very long. Right. In this case, because he's stable, and the staff, the team there is really tremendous. And recently, to remind everybody, the Cutler Bay purchased, was it 22 acres?
We did a land swap. It's roughly, in total, I mean, we did a land swap for 19 acres, and then we purchased another 8.5, between 9 total acres. So yeah, we're doing a lot to make sure we slow down the development and keep some green space open.
That takes, there's an old saying, I was too busy making a living to make any money. Mm-hmm. Once you can get to that higher level and have this long-term vision about the beauty that can be done with that, and I sort of see this where you're gonna have your town hall down there, mm-hmm. and people are going to be able to go walk their kids in the same area.
Right.
That is tremendous. That's like right out of Architectural Digest, right?
I call it the Norman Rockwell vision.
Yes. Yes.
It's where families can come together as a community, and not with any specific purpose, just to enjoy the South Florida weather and just look at it. Whether it's a pond or a fountain or just a gathering space. You don't get that small town square in places anymore, because it's all about, hey, what can we build and make more money on, and for us, we were able to preserve it, and again, that's been a vision for almost every single council member that I've known, going back to 2005 and today, and it took some time to get it done. Nobody ever gave up on the dream, and we had to make some difficult choices along the way. I mean, I remember a couple of times I'm sitting there in votes thinking, wow, I hope we can pull this off, or hope this doesn't come back and bite us. We're putting ourselves at risk, but. Mm-hmm. It was definitely worth the risk. We got it done.
Yes. And John Cosgrove's first mayor there was a friend of ours, and I miss him dearly. Every once in a while I'll see a piece about him. And he was really a public servant. And when he became the mayor back then, a lot of the people actually didn't want a city. It wasn't like the other areas that it would only pass by a little bit, right? Most of the others were 75 to 85% of the votes were for incorporation.
Right.
Cutler Bay was pretty close.
Cutler Bay had two factions. One faction that could see the benefit of having a little more of self-control. Really back then we had very limited ability to influence anybody over what type of development regulations would go on and what type of approvals would go on. And I don't think some of the folks saw that. They just saw another layer of government, which is going to charge them more taxes, make their life more difficult. It's been the exact opposite.
So, and I know that is a lot of the conversations that opponents to incorporation have. And at this particular point, I think that is not just old school. I think that is out the window. They should, whoever that is anymore, just stop saying that, because there's no evidence to support that.
And the good news is I don't think I've heard anybody bring that up, at least in the last 5-6 years. I think they realize they see the benefits of having local control over the decisions.
So let's talk about local control and taking care of the citizens. What is it the people of Cutler Bay want to happen in Cutler Bay?
Number one, I think they want to make sure that the community atmosphere is preserved as it is, one where families are the main focus, where people still talk to their neighbors and help their neighbors out. So that's the number one focus. And then quality of life has all the things factoring in it. You have your schools, which Cutler Bay's done a great job. I think we're ranked number 12 in schools. We got 5 great schools in Cutler Bay. We have a great new high school, Cutler Bay High School. So schooling is important. Safety as well is important. We still need to make strides in safety, but then again, before incorporation, we had 5 police officers covering our area, and now we have 55 officers covering our area. So it's tremendous improvement in there. But the things that we still need to work on is the traffic. And it takes forever to get out of Cutler Bay to where most of the jobs are. And there's 2 ways we can fix that. We can improve transportation, which is difficult and limited on what we can do because there is no more space for all these cars that are coming from the south of us. And again, we can start creating more jobs and bringing the jobs more to the south. So that's really been the main focus for me right now, is trying to figure out ways to bring the jobs south. Whether it be bring a hospital down south or biotech industry or even law firms and insurance companies, whatever it may be, to get them down the south area.
And obviously, you have to be a real visionary and look way on the cat's seat on the sailboat. You got to be able to look all the way out there and say what's going to happen. And 5 years is sort of a short span.
Right.
We're talking about 10 or 15 years. Say, what do we want this area to look like? When I was in high school, we would refer to Cutler Bridge as not nice ways. And you've lived there for how many years?
My
Decades.
entire life.
All right. And when you see the change, and when the people of an area start to care, then other people care. And so one of the things that we know is we have a lot of traffic that comes from Cutler Bay south that needs to come north. And we have 2 new county commissioners in the area, Keona McGee and Daniel Higgins Cohen. Tell us about what's going to be going on in the transportation arena. I know it's a sensitive subject. As you're thinking about that, I want to say hi to Bob Buzzelli, Pam Gorman, George Gonzalez, David Singer. Hey, David. Hey, Tim's supposed to be on my show in March. Stop stealing my guests, says David Singer.
I'll try not to repeat myself, David, okay?
Oh, boy. Okay. All right.
Okay. What do I see is going on in transportation? It's still a work in progress. There's a couple of solutions that are on the table. The first one obviously is the BRT along the busway corridor.
Tell people what that BRT stands for.
Bus Rapid Transit. And we've been fighting for rail for since since the Reagan days almost, and especially since the half-penny sales tax days. But let me go ahead and turn that off. Sorry, you guys can't hear that, I hope. Anyway, but the Board of County Commissioners decided to go with a different direction, and they're bringing the plan was to go with the BRT. Secured $110 million federal funding to help move that along as well. And that's supposed to kick off, though. There's there's been some discussion lately whether that's the way to go again. So that right now it's on the table for BRT, and that's great, because for far too long we've made promises. Well, not me personally, but government in general has made promises of delivering rapid transit to the south end, and nothing has really happened.
So from what having a BRT does not exclude some other way to do it down the road. From what I've heard is, if the BRT if they have a certain number of people on the line a day, they can try to get some more federal money. I heard a figure. Do I have that right?
Yeah. The county, I think, put in a number of 35,000, but then when you come find out that really wasn't a scientifically derived number. It was more of like, okay, here's a number, sort of to placate or move people along. It doesn't really make any sense to have a number of 35,000 a day.
That would be pretty busy, wouldn't it?
That would be pretty busy, but there is a number where you can, it should be simple math. Not for me, I'm not an engineer, but there are others that can look at this and see whether it's viable or not. And that's what we really should. We should be using a number of 35,000. And as the county has put it forward right now, the BRT has been designed, or is being designed, with the ability to upgrade to to light rail from bus rapid transit. The stations are being built in a way where it can be converted over easily.
So if you're in a bus, people say, oh, it's just a bus. So the difference between a bus, as far as transportation, and a railroad car, is, I'm trying to figure out the difference. Do we feel better when we get on a railroad or a metro mover type of thing than we do something with rubber wheels? If that's what it's made of.
I guess it's not really so much the ride. I mean, a seat is a seat. The benefit of having, rail all the way is it's a one-seat ride from wherever you're in the south all the way to downtown, right, or wherever you're going. You don't have to get out and change. So that's a benefit. People like convenience. Other than that, it's very similar. I mean, if you have stations that are designed the same, where you're not putting your quarters in when you're getting on the bus, or you're in an air-conditioned area where it's not a single entry, one person at a time getting on a bus, where the doors are wide enough where 8, 9 people can get on at a time and move it along quicker. If the bus can move without having to stop, like a train does, those are kind of the small differences. But I mean, they're small, but anything that will increase ridership is important. And of course, people like the most convenient, which that would be the rail. But BRT, I guess, is the next best alternative. I have not gone and seen out the BRT systems like that are going on in Denver, but from the other council members that have actually gone out and seen it, they said that the people there love it almost as much as the rail.
So with the BRT, how long would it take from today forward to start seeing if it still goes gung-ho the way that it started a month or two or 6 months ago or a year ago, until there was actually people could get on it? How long would that be?
Again, that's more of a county question than me. I would think it'd probably be a year and a half.
And if it was going to be something like a rail, how long would that be?
Don't even know how long that would take at this point.
Not a year.
Probably not a year, no. I mean, to go with rail, at this point, we have to find funding. And, there are some people with some creative ideas out there on how to get the funding to get it done. But, I'm worried that if we move to a new form now, we're starting from scratch again, and I don't want that to happen. Again, I don't want good to be perfect to be the enemy of good as far as transportation. And for any plan other than BRT for me to support, I have to say, yeah, it's doable, and yes, there's a reasonable chance it'll succeed, and that'll happen within my lifetime.
And how long has this concept of transportation been in the works on that busway?
The busway, I guess you could say that the busway was always on the table along with rail up until the Board of County Commissioners made a firm vote on that last year. And they said, okay, this is the preferred method. There are some that will say that the busway has always been the plan from the get-go, going back to the 90s.
So the average guy living down south, he says, listen, I can't afford to drive, all right? I don't have the money, I don't have the insurance, blah, blah, blah. And he says, I need to get on some transportation, all right? That's for individual people there. So within a couple of years, that could happen if this plan continues.
Yeah, I mean, technically it could happen now. I mean, you could do some short-term things, increase the number of buses on the busway. We have a circulator bus going around Cutler Bay to take people to the busway. We just started a new service, which is a free service called Go Connect, where you can actually be picked up sort of like an Uber and have it take you to the busway.
And I think part of that is the acceptability and the awareness of what's available. And that's like a feeder system. We're going to get out, and we're going to get people over. And people want to know that it's okay to do that. I don't take public transportation much. I would guess I've been on a bus a couple times in my life. Even before Uber, a taxi maybe 3 times, because I just didn't like Uber, sometimes 3 times a month, right? Because it just became more acceptable to do it, right? And the price was part of it, but that's not an issue anymore. It's like, does it work for me getting done where we want to go?
It's ease of use. I mean, people like the easiest way to get there, number one, and then affordability is the next thing. They probably go hand in hand. So, you have to make your decisions based on ease of use and affordability.
So we have new county commissioners, one new person on your board there. We have one new person in Palmetto Bay that's on the board there. Two new on the board over there. Maybe you guys will be able to have, and with the new county commissioner that's in that area, come with a unified voice so that some of that can make its way downtown, so that what you guys think is good, will happen. I know a couple of years ago, the coalition that you have sort of disintegrated. This is a new year, all right? And this is a great time to get solidified and to move that forward, county commissioners, wherever you are, right? And I think the county commissioners and the county commission generally want to know that as much as can be, that the people in the South End are in unison on that.
Without a doubt, I think that was one of the major obstacles for having any type of mass transit down here, is a division on what method of mass transit that they're going to have down here. There's division between, Homestead, Florida City, Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, whether, hey, we need the busway now, BRT now, or no, we got to wait and fight for rail. And other parts of the county, I think, took advantage of the divisiveness. And that's one of the things that, again, you talk about that coalition. When I get back into office, the first thing I did was reach out to Joe and Karen, with Palmetto Bay mayor, and the Pinecrest mayor, in the chambers, and said, hey, let's get this together again, because we need to kind of, we're not always going to speak with a unified voice, but we at least have to understand where each other is coming from and find ways that we can compromise and move forward with one voice. And since, we've got 2 new county commissioners in our area, and we've reached out to them, and our coalition of Joe, Karen, and I. We've also invited Steve Losner and Mayor of Homestead a couple of times, and Mayor Wallace as well. But we were reaching out to our county commissioners to, number one, make sure they understand from our perspective what our needs are for our communities. And then we also want to understand where they're coming from on what their ideas, visions going forward to improve our communities. And hopefully, it's not easy in the beginning. You have a lot of different ideas, and you may not always agree with the other individuals' ideas. So we've got to find that common ground. But the important thing is we're still together. For as you know, Palmetto Bay and Cutler Bay has a little disagreement on completing the grid or not, but that doesn't get in our way. We can go ahead and focus on other issues where we can be unified together. We're going to go ahead and unify together. And at the very least, we're going to share information with each other, ideas and concerns, and hopefully kind of a more cohesive South Dade government coalition, which will get things done.
So we know if there isn't, if people are not working together, and then it doesn't have to be an absolute unified voice, but at least there's a voice that everybody can sort of coalesce there and move that along. If that doesn't exist, all right, and it's not there, the county commission does want to go, well, if you guys can't get together, how do we know the right thing to do? Then they're going to rely on other people to tell them what to do.
Right.
So, so what I'm hearing is Homestead, Florida City, Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest, you guys get together and come up with something that you would like to advance forward with the county commission. And we know during COVID, a lot of things didn't get done, right? And I suspect there's a backlog of a lot of things. We know that people's attention span is a lot shorter than it used to be.
I'm sorry, what were you talking about? I'm kidding.
No. What? Yeah. So this is the time to advance that. I mean, we have 2 county commissioners, down there. and want to make a difference.
Mhm.
And I think that it's important that you guys get that done so that you can get on to the next thing.
Right.
And what is the next thing after that?
Well, again, you mentioned, so yeah, COVID kind of put everything on pause, because we're having meetings daily, like, all right, how do we protect our communities? And then the second thought is, well, how do we keep our businesses going? But right now, I think we're seeing a surge in cases following the holidays, which was predicted and expected. But we also can see the light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine being available now. So, though there are still dark times, it's like, all right, we're coming out of this. So right now is where time for us as local governments to get together and start moving forward with what's coming next. What do we want next? And how are we going to get that done? And, we've already talked about that. We had a meeting. Our jobs is really, really important. So going forward, how can we continue the economic development in the South? Again, because that's really the key to our traffic issues and every other issue is economic development. Our coalition has had meetings. We asked for meetings with the Economic Development Council, which we've had, to try to identify what we need to do next to go ahead and advance that cause of developing jobs down south. And that's where we are right now. The Economic Development Council has a 136-page report, kind of identifying what we need to do or what is right for development in the South. And we want to at least I want to consolidate that down to something which is 3 or 4 pages, so I can take it to a retail trade association or a manufacturing association and say, look what we've got down south. Here's a gem. Come on down.
So since you brought up about down south, what's the latest public information about Southland Mall?
The latest. So the Southland Mall was in receivership. The note was being marketed. We're expecting that we've had me and the town manager had meetings with some prospective buyers and on how they want to develop that. We share with them what Cutler Bay's vision for development was. That some folks wanted to kind of do something a little bit different, like storage, things like that. And that's not really what I was looking for. Again, I'm looking more for things like hospitals, restaurants, mixed use development, that type of development.
How many acres is that?
Oh, it's
a lot.
Yeah, it's 115, I think, total acres.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
So in South Miami on Sunset Drive in US 1, I'm sorry, in 57th Avenue, the Shops of Sunset.
Right.
Third, fourth, fifth iteration was just sold.
Mm-hmm.
The old buyer, the old owner, gave it back to the bank, and from November until now, it's sold in a couple months at a pretty big discount. And I'm not sure what the new people are going to do, but there is a lot of money that's around. All right.
Right.
And I guess all the developers want to know how can I make a lot of money on this? All right.
Right.
So maybe that if some of the people that have looked at it before, the Southland, and got the wrong message, and then maybe if the message is different now as far as what you'd like to see, maybe they might look at it again. Is there a place that they could go and say, here's some things that are in the acceptable range?
Yeah. I mean, again, after having the discussion with a lot of these developers, I mean, we have Cutler Bay's rules, which are, they're perfect for a developer. I mean, right now, you can go in and build as right, and not have to come before the council. It's an opportunity zone, so you can have your taxes deferred or eliminated for 10 years. There's a lot of pluses for that area right there. And again, one of the things that I'm learning is we may have to, we can't just envision, a downtown Doral. It's not going to pop up in 3 years. There are steps to get there. And that's what we need to do as a council, is figure out what are the smaller steps we need to get there. We don't need to bite it off in one big swipe. We need to learn as we're going forward what they need. I mean, I've had so many meetings with groups like a 13th floor talking about, you can build a 20-story building there. I'm like, well, that's really not going to work because you have different rules for building over 8 stories and all kinds of things like that. So we need to learn how to work with them. It's not our way or the highway kind of thing. It's like what makes sense for the community, what is going to get us a more usable area around where Southland Mall is. And getting there is not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But again, I think as a city, we've done all the right things by putting the development codes in place, which are friendly towards the right development, and the tax incentives are right. So our staff is willing to work with almost anybody to come in to see what's going to work for them, also what will work for the city.
So big developers, you hear that? You heard it from Mayor Tim right here from Cutler Bay. Come on down,
Listen,
work together with the city.
Come on down, because Cutler Bay is a city of roughly about 50,000 people now. And there's two things they need. They need more jobs to be down in the South area, and they need more entertainment, restaurants, those kind of things. So we're willing to talk to you and tell you how your ideas might work. And quite honestly, I think everybody's missing the boat on the south end of the county right now. Now is the right time to go ahead and start looking into making your future in that area.
And they might, by the way, if they approach you, then maybe that conversation about how people could get there to transport themselves might go into a conversation you might have with the county commissioner and say, here's something that might happen over there as far as the transportation. A couple of people say hello, Mike Cody, Helen Mitchum, Marianne Stahl. I think Marianne,
the Marianne Stahl. That's Stedman's sister.
Stedman's sister.
She's living the life of leisure right now. She's a new grandma as well.
Oh, so congratulations. Carmen Naranjo, Francis Reeves. Oh, hello, Francis. Love the shirt, Michael. So see you tomorrow afternoon. So Cutler Bay, I got to tell you, it's the envy of the south end of the county. You guys, the whole team there has really done a phenomenal job. Congratulations on the 15th anniversary. And by the way,
we did a great addition. I love it.
Yes.
I had 3 copies in my house. They've disappeared, so I think my mom has all 3 of them right now.
Okay. So. And we're delighted for the people of the south end of the county, right? And it's really become really interesting to see it grow. So one of our sales was about a year and a half ago. So Michael, we're going to spend 4 hours together. She drove. Mm-hmm. I'm taking her to Cutler Bay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. We went all the way from, I guess, 117th Avenue, whatever is on that side. We went through and I said, oh my God, it's been so long since I've really been here and took a look at what's going on. So my hat's off to the people that live there, people that voted for this council. And don't worry, if you didn't get in this time, in a couple more years, it's going to be opportunities. And we wish you lots of good health. And I would like you to send a message to a young man or young woman that's probably watching right now about the new year and about how they could look at their future. And that's your camera right there.
Okay. And before I do that, real quick, when you left one thing off, which was really nice, we just got a new kayak launch in Cutler Bay, which is now available for our citizens to use. I actually went out there and beautiful time of year to get out there on a kayak. It's super quiet, peaceful, birds, and it was really nice. It's right there by the Lakes by the Bay Park. Mm-hmm. So I want to encourage everybody to go out there and use that. It's really, really proud that's up and running right now, where people can get outside, especially this time of year.
Great.
But I guess to young people out there, this has been a very, very trying year, especially for that as our students, they're not able to go and interact with their other friends. Are not able to go through the normal high school or school things, school dances or football games and those kind of things. And through all the trying times, you got to remember there's more than life. There's always usually a sunny day coming up. And I think right now we're just at the end of the darkness, and the dawn's right on the verge of coming out. So keep positive. Look forward to the opportunities when we'll be able to get outside again, where people will be able to interact with each other again. I mentioned earlier, I think the most important part of a city is the community feel, and COVID has really been able to stamp that down a little bit, where we can't get out and enjoy each other. So look forward to focusing on each other and enjoying each other's company, and looking how to make each other's lives better. So.
Thank you very much. I do want to say a couple things, folks. During this time of social isolation, if you're having a problem, a social issue, emotional issue, please speak to a friend, a colleague. Dial 211. They can help you, direct you. Call your shrink. Oh my goodness, there it is. Stedman Stahl, the president of the South Florida Police Benevolent Association.
No worries, Stedman, sir.
And yeah, way to go. Okay. That's wonderful. Okay, born in Kendall. I want to say, oh, your sister was checking in here, man. Marianne. She says she misses working Cutler Bay. Sydney McMillan, Alexandra Lima, William Patrick Kestel, Jerry Johnson. Thanks for your kind words. And folks, again, this is Live with Miami Community News. I want to thank our guest, the mayor of Cutler Bay, Tim Meerbot. Thank you very much. Have
Thank you very
have a
much,
great
Michael.
year.
And
And
I want to thank community newspapers for putting this forum together. It's really been helpful for so many people. So you guys are also part of the glue that holds all of Dade County together. So thank you very much for doing
my
what you guys
pleasure.
do.
And Tommy, thank you so much. And